Welcome to another episode of Extraordinary Ordinary Women. And I'm Margarita, and I'm excited to be able to share with you stories of ordinary women, women in our community who have had a dream or an idea and followed it through to fruition. Their stories will encourage you, uplift you, and hopefully inspire you to ignite the seeds of greatness within your heart. For it's through sharing that we come to realize that we are not Robinson Crusoe all alone on our own little island, but that there is, particularly now with social media, this network of truly amazing women, women who willingly stretch out their hand with encouragement. Having found this for myself when my life was turned upside down, it is my gift to those women to be able to pay forward the gift of encouragement to others. So, without further ado, I have great pleasure in introducing you to Gemma Sisia, all the way over there in Tanzania. Now, there are some people who don't just follow a dream, they build something that changes the lives of thousands. And today I'm honoured to introduce you to Gemma Sisia, the founder of the School of St Jude in Tanzania. And what makes this conversation especially meaningful for me is that I've had the privilege of witnessing this journey right from the very beginning. Gemma, then Gemma Rice, was once my daughter's high school teacher. And I remember when this vision was just that, a vision, a dream, a bio brick. Her school began with just a handful of students. In fact, a picture that comes to mind is one teacher and two kindergarten students. A single small primary school built with the help of Rotary and dedicated volunteers. But what started as small has grown into something truly extraordinary. Today, the School of St Jude provides free, high-quality education to hundreds of students from some of the poorest communities in Tanzania. And what began with education expanded to include daily meals, boarding facilities, multiple campuses, and a pathway all the way to university. And what I find especially inspiring is not just its growth, but the wisdom behind it. Over time, leadership has been thoughtfully transitioned to local Tanzanian staff, empowering the very community the school was created to serve. Now, every student is selected based on need through a poverty test, as well as an educational test. Each student is supported through sponsorship, creating not just opportunity, but generational change. And now, years on, Gemma is seeing the ripple effect of that original dream. Graduates becoming professionals, leaders, and change makers in their own right. This is a story more than about a school. It's a story about vision, courage, and what's possible when one woman has the courage and decides to take action. So let's step into this conversation with Gemma Sisia. Gemma, hello and welcome.
Hi, it's so great to speak to you. It's really good.
It is so exciting, and particularly like our history goes back to quite some time, and on the other side of the world, and with what you have accomplished and being part of that is just beautiful. So, Gemma,
Yes.
would
Well, actually, in January, it's our 25th anniversary.
wow,
And so
wow,
we've got a lot of people coming here in January and hundreds of alumni who are out in their communities coming back for the celebrations. End of January, if you want to come over.
wow, that is awesome. Gosh, I knew it was over 20 years. I wasn't quite sure how long, but 25 years. Goodness gracious.
Mhm.
So,
Mm.
Gemma, Would you share with us briefly the beginning of this journey? And I say briefly because there is just so much to your story for you to share. There are two books that you've written and 25 years of experience. And we only have a short amount of time, and I want to cover as much as I can.
Okay, so I was born in Armidale Hospital, grew up on a farm 40 kilometres outside of Guyra, or 80 k's north of Armidale, with 7 very wild but wonderful brothers. I think that taught me a lot of survival skills pretty much from birth. But after I finished university, I'm a high school maths teacher. And after finishing university, I worked over here, well, thinking I'd just be here for a couple of years. And then, when you're under 25, you think you know everything and you're infallible. You're very idealistic, but you actually have no idea what you're talking about. So after working in Africa for a couple of years, I came back to Armidale, and that's when I got a job teaching at NEGS, teaching your daughter. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to build a good quality private school, but a private school that didn't charge school fees, so it would be completely free. And as you would when you're idealistic and under 25. And one of my friends in Armidale, Agnes Henner, said, "Go for it, Jem, you can do it." But she was also under 25. And she gave me my first donation, which was $10. And I took Aggie's $10 to the bank and opened a bank account, and then started raising money. My students, your daughter helped me, and the class helped me, and people around Armidale helped me, and clubs, Rotary, churches, people on the park bench, anyone who would be willing to listen to me. And we finally raised enough money to build the first classrooms, which was built by volunteers from around Armidale and Rotary from around Armidale. And then we started the school in 2002 with only a handful of students, as you said. And yeah, it's just been a grind ever since.
It's been a grind. Oh, it is just such an amazing story. Amazing story. I'd love
Mm.
for you to share the important milestones you have accomplished on your way to the present situation of the school. For me, it will be like walk down memory lane. But I also just want to say too that when the time is right, and if the seed is given the right nurturing and it's to be, then the universe, it just evolves, doesn't it? So the two of you are under 25, so idealistic, and you just plowed forward, charged forward with this dream, and basically made it happen. Things fell into place. Well, fell into place, but then some of them struggled into place at times too, didn't they? Yes.
Mm.
So
And I think also it was a blessing that I grew up on a farm. People think it's very very easy or romantic working in the third world, but it's very hard. I miss my family. It's a huge amount of work on a daily basis, which I love, and I will never give it up. Um, but growing up on the farm, you learn hard work, even though you don't know you're learning it. You learn, grit and don't give up and determination. So seeing my father, bringing 8 kids up on a farm and putting us all through good schools, it was really hard and difficult for them. So that was a blessing also in the nurturing stage.
And I remember digressing just slightly here, at one of your talks when you toured Australia, you mentioned that you did speech and drama at school. And in hindsight,
Yeah.
you saw how that fitted into place with your touring, with your speaking to other people. Incredible story, incredible story. And I also recall you saying, you talked about growing up with your 7 brothers. You were the only daughter. And then when you made the decision to go to Tanzania, you would have had that heartbreaking moment or period, or I don't know, chapter, whatever, of leaving your family, your mum behind. And because that's a fair distance in those days to have shifted away from family.
Yes, and in those days you didn't have the internet or anything.
Yes,
You really yeah. So yeah, it was hard, but that's when you're young, you just
you
yeah,
do
you
it.
just don't even think about risk or long term or anything like that. You just sort of bullet a gate type, which is a blessing actually, because I had no idea what was ahead of me. So it
Yes.
was a blessing that I started the project when I was young. And you don't do feasibility plans or business plans when
Of course
you're
not.
young. Yeah,
Like you say, you just go at it like a bull at a gate. It's awesome. So
exactly.
back to my second question. Would you share with us, please, some of your milestones, some of those very important milestones in the building?
Okay.
What is this
Well,
emphasis?
milestone was just opening the school. So on the first day of school, I remember going to bed at 5 p.m., even though we only educated a couple of kids that day. And that was a big milestone. And then the next milestone, I think, was when we got our students to the end of primary school. So when I started the school, we just had grade one. And then we had to build classrooms so that those kids could go into grade two. Meanwhile, we'd enroll new kids into grade one. And then the next year, we had to build classrooms so the eldest kids could go into grade three. So each year, we were building just one class ahead of that rolling top class. So the next milestone would have been at the end of primary school. And then we were talking at the board, do you think we could go to secondary as well? Oh, I don't know if we can fund it and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually we said, well, let's just go and have a go. So then we had the first year of secondary school and then the second year of secondary school. So the next milestone was we actually reached the end of year 12 back in 2015. So I got my first year 12 students back in 2015. Thankfully, there were more than 3 of them in that class by the time they finished high school. There was 60 of them.
Wow.
And then we pioneered a community service year. That would have been a big milestone.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because when for our students to get a scholarship, all of our students at St Jude are on academic scholarships. So they're very bright, but very poor. And most of them are doing STEM related subjects, math, sciences. And there is a huge need of those subjects in the government schools and in the community at large. So after our students finish year 12, they can, if they want, participate in a community service year, a year where they give thanks for their free education by volunteering teaching in government schools. And so our year 12s, even though they just finished year 12, they come in for a 2-week crash teaching course where we teach them how to write a lesson plan, how to fill a logbook out. We give them some ideas around crowd control, and then we give them some boxes of chalk and kick them out to a government school for a year. Now, when I tell you our year 12s teachers, that's what they're doing. They're not tutoring or assistant teaching. They have their own classes. Some of them are even heads of departments. So I think the next milestone was our inaugural year 12 class went out to work as government school teachers for a year to say thanks for their free education. And then they started going to university. We had no idea how to do the university level. And then we got our first crop of university graduates in 2020. And then our first crop of doctors. So 10 of that original class of 60 came out as doctors in 2021.
Wow.
And then since then, I think it's 700 students have graduated from university and different trades.
And I
Can you?
remember lots of milestones come back to my mind, like going back to the primary school, because these children often walked over an hour to get to school. For me, one of the milestones was you providing a hot cooked lunch for them. And in boarding facilities later. Would you like to explain the difference between your the size of your class and the size of a government class?
In the government classes here, you probably got, on average, I'd say maybe 70 students in a class. At St Jude's, we're between 25 and 30 in each of our classes. So even though our students are from a third world country, I don't believe that they should be educated in mud huts, and I've never believed that. So I've always tried to build them the best classrooms that we can, find the best staff that we can, provide the best facilities that we can. We have over 40 extracurricular clubs. We host, one of the clubs we host is public speaking and debating, because I learned from personal experience how important that is. And in actual fact, for the last 3 years, Margarita, we've been hosting the national public speaking and debating competition for all Tanzania. And for the last 2 years, we now host the East African public speaking competition. So we get schools and teachers from Burundi, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Southern Sudan, all coming to compete, because yes, public speaking skills are very important and debating skills are very important. But the school has grown really out of solving problems. So yes, you're right. When the beginning, I thought every kid in the world goes to school with a packed lunch because that's what we did when we were young.
Yes, absolutely.
But that doesn't happen here. And so we had to start providing meals because Tanzania, they're not a sandwich culture.
Yes.
A hot food, grow your food outside in the backyard type culture. And then we ended up having to open boarding because we were noticing that our students, they would have wounds on their body that weren't healing, or they would fall asleep in class where they weren't accessing enough food at home, or they were not in a safe environment, or they were only able to access water once every few days for washing or bathing. So we ended up having to open boarding, not because we wanted to, but it was a solution to a lot of health issues, I suppose. And in the end, you can't have a healthy mind to study if you don't have, food every day and access to water.
Yes. And I'd just like to share, you shared on one of your Instagram posts, the product of what you've been doing. You took your mother-in-law to hospital and there was a doctor who had gone through the system, and what a joy it was to be able to see that and enjoy that. Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm starting to run. Well, not starting. I'm running into alumni practically every day now, which is wonderful. And we use alumni a lot, so to help us with the school. So, for example, I had a bit of a run-in with a bull a year or so ago and had to be rushed to hospital. And the doctor wanted me to go straight into radiology because he thought maybe the horns might have done some internal damage. So they rushed me into radiology, and who's the radiologist? One of our alumni. And we've got some alumni working for Price Waterhouse, and so they help us with our accounts. One of our alumni was awarded the best safari guide of Tanzania. So it's a real variety of alumni. We employ alumni even, and we've probably got about 25 alumni working as teachers, IT, professionals, marketing, communications in the school itself.
Amazing. Now, when you say safari guide, would you like to share with us, please? I love your story. I love lots of all your stories. Your first plot of land and who you married, and it's a beautiful story.
Yes. So, after I finished university, as I said, I came over here to work and to teach maths and science for a couple of years because maths and science teachers are in short supply here. Anyway, but like everybody, I wanted to go and see the Serengeti and go on safari because, that's what Tanzania is famous for, is for its wildlife. And so I went on safari with a German safari company and, 6-7 years later, married the driver. And so I married my own safari driver guide, which is why he has a safari company. And so his life is all about safari and organizing safaris, and my life is, of course, the school. Yeah. And we now have 4 children, and our eldest son just got married in January and just told us a couple of days ago, actually, that his wife is expecting. So we're going to be, grandparents before the end of the year, hopefully. So the life moves on.
It does. It does. And before you know it, the cycle is moving on. But Richard is a Tanzanian, isn't he? And his father gifted you. That was the bit I was like, his father gifted you some land, which was just beautiful to start the small school, and you grew from there. Yeah.
Yes, so I had Agnes's $10 and financial support from Armidale to help build the first classrooms, and then I had a couple of acres of free land from my father-in-law.
Yeah, it was lovely. Beautiful. So every dream has its challenges, and I wonder if there were any in particular that you would be comfortable sharing about, that stand out as needing exceptional courage to move past or to move forward on.
Yes, I would say, like people ask me what am I most proud of, and I actually say I'm most proud of that I've survived. I'm still here, but and the school is not only just
Oh,
surviving but thriving.
thriving.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and so, but practically every day you're coming across challenges every day. But then again, God bless that I was brought up on a farm, because it gives you that real um, sense of don't give up. Anyway, and so what are some of the big challenges that we've come across? Well, I remember the GFC back in 2009. That really hurt us. So the GFC was when we lost hundreds of donors and sponsors, because nobody knew what was going to happen with the world, going into financial
Oh,
constraints.
yes.
And so that was hard. But I remember I just had to get on a plane and come out to Australia, and I spent a couple of months in Australia trying to raise money. And then that's when we were lucky we got the Australian Story documentary.
Yes.
And yep, so we were able to recover from the GFC. And then we've had a few political challenges here. We've had 5 presidents over the duration of the school, and sometimes you have political leaders wanting to get their own children into the school, or various government officials into the school, and we've had to say no. I can say with my hand on my heart that we haven't bowed to any political pressure. And so that was also a bit of an issue in the early days, because people want to see, if you'll bend the rules. But I would say for a good probably at least 10 years, we haven't had political pressure to put children into our school who didn't follow the government school poor bright entrance criteria.
Yeah.
But even just building, we're building at the moment a huge sports complex, because even though our students are academically bright, sport teaches so many life skills and holistic skills: determination, teamwork, communication. And so we're building a huge sports complex at the moment, which should be finished in 2 months' time. But we're having a few building dramas, which is always happening. And because we're always growing and building issues seem to always be a bit of an issue. But the thing is that, living in the third world, there's curveballs that come every 30 seconds.
All
But I
right.
now have a yeah, but I now have a management team of about a good 10 people,
Right.
and all of them are Tanzanian except for one. So the one who's in charge of our fundraising, because our annual budget now is $10 million that we need to fund.
Gemma.
So yes, so each year. And so as you grow, that's great, but then it also comes with, a bigger budget. And
Yes.
so there's now 3 schools. We've got 1 primary school and then 2 secondary boarding schools. So we have about 1,500 students in boarding. Those kids eat a lot.
Yes.
So we have to provide, over 1 million hot meals a year. We have 350 Tanzanian staff, 35 school buses, and around 500 students that we support at university. And so that's where that budget goes to. And but anyway, when I'm saying challenges, when I put my management team into the boardroom, and this is another curveball that's just coming this morning, or one that's coming in this afternoon, there's nothing that team can't solve. And so people think I run the school, but actually I don't. I'm just pretending nowadays.
Well, that's what really impressed me with your business strategy is that you were there, you were the core, you had a team, you built it, but you had the wisdom to put in place a system that would operate without you, because let's face it, we're all on a one-way ticket here, and it needs to be ongoing with or without you. And that really blew my mind away when I learned what you were doing with that, because I have heard of charities where the ego comes in and the founder is not able to let go, and it gets pear-shaped. But anyway, my goodness gracious me, Gemma, wow. Now I'm going to ask you an odd question here. From the depths of all of those experiences, what have been the rewards? And I know that is a question that's going to sound like, how long is a piece of string?
The rewards. Well, I think um, Well, okay, let me just okay, look where I am. This is a reward. How am I going to turn this around? This is what I'm looking out of at the moment. So that is the simple reward for having the guts to just jump on a plane and have a go. The rewards are obviously, my marriage, by far my children, and Richard. I would still marry him in a heartbeat, if we did it all over again. So we have 4 beautiful children because of that union. And I'm proud of employing so many people and impacting on so many families.
Yes.
And of course, I'm, very, very proud of our alumni. Every time I bump into an alumni, which is almost every day now, actually it is every day, it gives me boost of energy to get through the next, 2 days of curveballs that will come in or of issues or whatever. And so I think the first 5 or 6 years, it was about, if I don't get this school up. So what kept me going the first 5 or 6 years? If I don't get this school up, my brothers will never let me live it down, And so it was about, I've got to make sure this school gets off the ground. And I'd say the next 10 or so years, it was about the responsibility. We have around 400 suppliers that live off our annual budget. I've got all these people employed. I'm enrolling students in grade 1. I have to make sure that we are financially viable and we have good financial planning so that those kids that we just enrolled, so we enroll 300 every year. So the new kids that we enrolled 300 a few months ago, we have to make sure that they can get all the way to the university.
Yeah.
And then, so I think it was about the responsibility, but now it's about the impact because I'm seeing the impact out in the community. I can see what our alumni are doing. And so I know the hard work is worth it. So now what keeps me going? And actually we're trying at the moment, because we're 25 years in January, we're trying to raise money to even support more students at the moment and possibly open another boarding school, because I know what an education can do in one's family and in the community and in the country at whole. So that's what keeps me going now. It's the alumni.
Amazing. Gemma, finally, what words of wisdom have emerged from your journey that you would want to share?
Definitely follow your passion, because if you follow your passion, you will love what you're doing and you will be willing to do whatever it takes to get through all the challenges that will come your way. So follow your passion, don't follow the money, and definitely follow the passion, because money will come. My father used to always say, if you do good things, good people will be attracted to you. And I never, ever thought that our school would grow the way it is. So definitely follow your passion, not the money. And the other thing is the saying that has gotten me through so much is, this too shall pass.
Oh my gosh.
It will pass. Yes. So so that is the saying that, oh my gosh, that has been with me since I started. So this will pass. It doesn't matter how bad things get, it will always pass.
Yes.
But also good times will pass as well.
Oh, yes.
So,
It's
so
the
this
yin and yang of life, isn't it? Yes.
is a saying that I would love to pass on.
Thank you. Thank you. Gemma, it's been an absolute privilege and a walk down memory lane to speak with you today. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story so openly and covering so much in such a short amount of time. I know it will deeply resonate with many who hear it. And folk, if you'd like to connect with Gemma and become involved with the work of St Jude, you'll find all the details in the description box. And I look forward to sharing the story of another extraordinary woman with you very, very soon. Thank you for being here today. And if you enjoy hearing stories of ordinary women doing extraordinary things, please subscribe and join us for future conversations. With heart, Margarita. Gemma, thank you. Thank you again. God bless.
Thanks, Margaret, and thanks for having my back for all these years.
Oh.